What's up, guys? I'm Mr. Audio, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. So, in light of a few comments that I've posted on other people's videos about room correction and room treatment, I felt like I had to make a video on a good place to start when treating your room. So now we all know tools exist that can help you correct your room's EQ response, such as Sonarworks and Room EQ Wizard, to name a couple. Now, while I believe that they are great tools, I don't use them, and we'll get to why in a minute. But let's first talk about acoustic treatment and sound waves and how they correlate with each other. So, first off, foam doesn't work. With the foam that they sell, 1 inch, 2 inches thick, it covers down to about 7K for frequency response. Now, even the bass traps they sell for the corners that are like 7 inches thick, they still only get down to about 1K for absorption. You want to use something like Rockwool or Owens Corning 703. Now, there's different densities of Rockwool that you can get, and the less dense material is better suited to absorbing lower frequency energy. And the lower the frequencies you're trying to absorb, the bigger your bass trap has to be, the less dense the material has to be inside of it, and the more air you're going to have to incorporate to help trap those frequencies. Now, it works the opposite with high frequencies. High frequencies, their waveforms are a bit more dense. The cycles happen faster, so you'll need more dense material to actually absorb those better properly. And that's just something I learned very recently as today. Now let's talk about sound waves. So higher frequencies decay a bit faster, and lower frequencies take more time and length to fully mature and decay out. And this is why treating small rooms is so hard. Let me just give you an idea. One cycle of a 100 hertz sine wave takes about 4 meters to fully mature. So that means something like a 20 hertz sine wave is going to bounce back and forth 3, 4, maybe 5 times before it actually dies out and decays, causing a whole bunch of chaos, such as cancellations and buildups. This is why small rooms are so hard to treat, because you need to add so much bass traps in there to stop those frequencies so that you can hear a good response out of the speakers. Now, with that all being said, I don't know anybody that's dove down the rabbit hole with Room EQ Wizard and come out satisfied. And to be honest, my personal opinion, it might just be my hot take. If Sonarworks is correcting more than 5 or 6 dB in your room, I feel like you're missing something. I feel like Sonarworks should put the last 5% on it. It shouldn't get you from 80 to 100. And maybe that's just my hot take. And now I'm not saying Sonarworks isn't useful. I would definitely use it for other things, but we'll get to that in a minute. Now let's get into how I go about treating my rooms. So first I start with the basics, like everybody else. I treat the first reflection points behind the speakers, sides, and the ceiling. And then I also treat on the back wall. Because this room is so small this way, I'm going to treat the back wall. Then it takes a little bit of manual walking around the room and clapping till I am satisfied with my room reflections. Basically, a bit of trial and error never hurt anybody. But once I'm satisfied with the room corrections, after I've done my walkabout, I set up my monitors to where they're decoupled from the desk. Decoupled, all that means is that they're not touching the desk. There's something in between it, like foam or something. People have monitor stands and stuff like that. Anyway, shock absorbing stands for the monitors, basically. And then I make sure the tweeters are pointed at the tops of my ears, and it's an equilateral triangle between me and the speakers and themselves. But once I have all this set up and I got the listening position right, I listen to some of my favorite songs, professionally mixed music in my studio, in this space specifically, so that I know how the low end should sound, how the high end should sound, how the mid range should sound. I know how this room sounds now. Okay, this is how they should sound. This is how they sound on this record. This is how they sound on that record. All right, the mids should sound like this. The high end should sound like this. All of these things will start to become evident to you once you start listening to professionally mixed tracks in your setting. There's another guy that does this on YouTube. I actually learned this from him. He actually uses no treatment in his room. He goes by the name Junkie XL. He's done a ton of soundtracks on movies that you've probably seen. And every time he moves into a new space, it's like an adventure. He gets to learn how the room sounds, how it treats different frequencies. Now, I don't just sit in a room with no treatment. I obviously do a combination of the two. I like to treat what I feel is necessary and then listen to music that's professionally mixed in this space. So I know what things should sound like in here. So when my mixes are stacked up against other mixes, they sound professional. Now, that's not saying I don't have checks and balances. There's things called headphones. And a good headphone that's a staple in every studio is the Audio-Technica's ATH M50Xs. Now, these are staples in every studio. I'm not saying that they're great headphones. I'm just saying they're very common and a lot of people know how they sound. This is where I would use Sonarworks. I would use Sonarworks to correct your headphones so that you have something flat to check on. This way, the corrections that Sonarworks are making are minimal and don't depend on room reflections and stuff being moved in the room. Because you move something in your room, it's going to change your frequency response. It's going to change how sonar works. It's going to need to correct your room. You move your head, it's going to do the same thing. Everything in there was positioned a certain way when the mic was recording. So it's correcting according to all the positions where everything was at that moment in time. So knowing that, I feel like it's better to know your room than have some correction software do it for you. But I don't feel like you should need to correct your whole room. I feel like headphones should be enough. And that's it. I would just check back and forth between my monitors and my headphones and make sure my mix was satisfactory. At least that's how I would do it now. I mean, I don't actually have Sonarworks because I just felt like the ROI wasn't there. And I check on a lot of other systems too. Like I have 3 vehicles that I check it in. So they'll have quite different sound systems. So I get a wide variety of different systems to test my music on. And I advise you to do the same. Anyway, just some food for thought when treating your rooms. I hope this video helps. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Mr. Audio, out.